What's up? What's up? What is up? It's another Friday, another opportunity to get together and record the Ball Hog Sports Talk. We're in the building on this Friday. We got the crew in the building. Ball Hog Sports Talk is coming to you. If you have never been a part of this experience that is known as the Ball Hog Sports Talk, let me just tell you that you're in for a treat. Before we get started, I'm going to ask you like we ask you every week, please, and I ask you humbly, like, comment, share, tag a friend, tag a foe, tag anybody that you know, and please subscribe to the YouTube channel and the podcast. Today's episode is going by the title of Grown. And as we all have matriculated into adults, I imagine that our audience is on the adult side of the equation. Being grown comes with some responsibilities, but it also, in the process of getting there, comes with a lot of accomplishments. We do a lot with our titles, and today I would say we have done the most with our titles. So please stay tuned. It's the Ball Hall Sports Talk, where sports, business, and entertainment collide. The crew is in the building, and get you some coffee. Spike it with whatever you want. Pull up a nice chair. Get comfortable, because we got a lot of good stuff in sports, business, and entertainment coming to you. So let's go. Wake up, wake up, wake up, and stay woke. Because this is the Ball Hog Sports Talk with your boy, B. Brown, ESQ, a.k.a. the Ball Hog, a.k.a. the Mouth of the South. This is the place where sports, business, and entertainment collide. And we're going to give it to you rough, rugged, and raw. So come get you a spoonful, like some grits with butter and salt. You know how we do it in the South, y'all. Make sure you do not get caught in your feelings. Strap on your seatbelt and enjoy the ride. Come on, let's go. Once again, it's on. We are here, man. We are here in the building, and I'm going to reserve the real explanation for why we made the title as it is for a minute. We'll start off with just a topic that is sports, business, entertainment, like we do, and then we'll get into why we really named it Grown. But before we do, got to make the introduction. I am your boy, B. Brown, ESQ, a.k.a. the Ball Hog, a.k.a. the Mouth of the South, a.k.a. Mr. Success Celebration, a.k.a. Breezy, and I get the distinguished pleasure of sharing this platform with the man, the myth, the legend, thou who shall be intergalactically known and respected as. And when you say it with your chest. He is the Big Flow Show. What's up, my brother?
What's good, B? What's good, America? How everybody doing today?
You know, man. You know, I'm American, so I'm responding. Doing well, my brother.
That's fantastic. You represent America. I appreciate
Fantabulous.
that.
Fantabulous.
Fantabulous.
Before we get into sports, business, entertainment, man, and before we introduce to them why we are naming this particular episode Grown, how was your week, man, before we get in?
The week has been good. Sorry we missed last week. You know, sometimes summer gets in the way, life gets in the way. We got to do other things, pay some of these bills.
Summer Friday, baby. Summer Friday.
But you know, it's been a good couple weeks for the Florimas. You know, we've had some good things go on, and happy to be here. Happy to be able to spend the Friday with you guys.
Can't believe that it's August already, but it is a sort of a microcosm of life, man. You blink and it's gone, and so I wanted to at least acknowledge that we are in August. That's the 8th month of the year, and I promise you, it was January yesterday.
Man,
but that is life, man.
I gotta tell people every year it's always about to be my birthday. I'm closer to 52 than I was 51, and I just hit 51.
Just hit 51. Well, that's a good segue, because you talk about your birthday, and today we decided to go with this particular title, and we go with a lot of titles. Most of them have such complicated meanings, and this one's going to have a more layered and complicated meaning than just the word, as we get into some of the amazing stories from the Olympics, some of the amazing stories in sports, business, entertainment. But I guess the real reason that we decided to have this show, the real reason why we decided to entitle it by the one word grown is for a particular someone. And I wanted you to be the one who let us know who this gentleman is, first of all, and why he led us to this particular title.
That gentleman is a guy I know, but I know him, but I don't know him. No, that's my son. You know, today is a very weird day. You know, my son turned 21 today. And when you think about it, I always think about how weird things are to be a part of. Is here we are doing this show today. The first time we announced that my wife was pregnant with my son, you were at my house, and that's the only time you've ever been at my house ever. And it's weird.
I mean, I tried to get in before.
I mean, you know, it was, you know, you didn't flush the toilet. There's a couple reasons why you haven't been invited back. But the funny part is, it's so weird when I think about it. Like, man, B has been to my house once in 22 years. My man's 21 now. And that was the day that we decided that we were going out. So I'm happy you were a part of that, but it's kind of full circle that we're here discussing it. But, you know, when I think about it, it's grown. You know, a lot of people say it, and, you know, those of our, although now the black vernacular is starting to become mainstream and sometimes it gets bastardized. We won't go down that part, but, you know, that's what you say. People grown, man. This dude is grown. That's
grown
what he
ass
is.
Man, dog. You got yourself a grown ass man, dog. He's grown.
But at 21 years old, by every definition, you're grown. You know, I have a daughter that will be 18 in a month. She's grown. Both of my kids will vote for this in this upcoming election, which is crazy. So if you read my post today on Facebook, I said if you see the man, you can buy him a drink. He's in training camp, so he probably won't accept it. You could talk to him about politics because he will have a vote this year. But you know, I took the time to reflect on him, and you know, I'm a proud dad, so most people know a lot about him. People have seen this picture before. People have seen a lot of things about him in his development, but you know, I want to say thank you. You know, to get him to this level now, to the son I can be proud of, to a son I can say has accomplished a lot, to a son that could be really everything I dreamt about when I wanted to have a boy. I jokingly say, don't take this the wrong way, but when my son was born, that's the happiest I've ever been to see another man's penis. When it came, like, I got my little boy, man. I got something, man. But you know, I look through the years that he's gone through stuff in the village it's been, and all of the people out there who's have had a hand in it. I mentioned on my post today, one of the favorite thing I get to hear is when I talk to somebody and they say, "Man, I just talked to Lil Reg," you know, and I'm like, man, to think that without me prompting or without me having to be a part of it or be involved, that my son will reach out to people and get advice, reach out to the village. People will reach out to him to check on him, men, women, coaches. He's had mothers of other people and say whatever. And I'm just touched by the fact that, you know, hopefully the rest of you guys feel some of the same type of pride I do, but I feel like we all can feel proud about where he is and how he's become the person he is today. You know, he's a man of God. Something that he really has pursued mainly on his own. He has a deep faith. He likes to share that faith with others. You know, he's a good boyfriend to his girlfriend. He's a good teammate to his teammates. He's a good representative of the university that he is there. Every group that he belongs to, I think that he wears his colors with pride. So I'm proud of him on this 21st birthday. I can't believe we're here already. I can't wait to see where the next chapter brings him. Can't wait to have a drink with him at a bar. I'll be honest with you. Hopefully we'll be celebrating.
That's real. That's you know you got a grown up, man. You can have a drink with your son legally. Let's just go to the bar, man.
You know, and then he could put in, like when he comes home and he says, "What's going on? Come back for barbecue." I can say, "Man, stop, pick up a fifth." Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, pick up a little something, man.
Pick up a little something. Bring something to the party. You know, start to contribute in life. But I love you, Reg. Proud of you, man. Happy we could dedicate the name of the show, large part to you. But as you know, as we have fun naming these shows, there's always multiple connections. You're going to hear about some gymnasts that are grown, some Olympians that are grown.
Yeah.
NFL contracts that are grown. A lot of different things are grown today. So shout out to Paul Grossmanis. He's my other son too, if he's watching today, because he got the same birthday today. He turned big 50 today. So I told him today he's like my other son. And he's
I'll say this before we get into the other topics that prompted us to entitle this particular show "Grown." I was there when you decided to announce to everyone that you were pregnant. That you
that
and
we're
your
pregnant. I
wife, that
love
we were
when
pregnant.
some man decided we should start taking credit. My wife is pregnant.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
drinking.
Well,
Shit.
you announced that
I'm
your wife
drinking,
was
man.
pregnant. So I was there, so I feel a part of it. I was there when we all went to Mexico, and that's when he was the famous Whittle Wedge, because that is how it was pronounced back then. But on this day, I know we're celebrating his birthday, and your wife delivering him 21 years ago. But I also want to celebrate you, my brother, as a Black man, as a fellow Notre Dame alum, as someone that I do this show with. It's hard to raise young men in this society. And not only have you done that, you've done it, I think, in a fabulous, spectacular fashion. All the things that you have said about him, I've heard that and then some in terms of the type of person that he is. And I just want my hats off to you, man, because we normalize things that are absolutely not normal. And so the sacrifices that you have made and continue to make on a daily basis when it comes to not only the birthday boy, uh, the real Reggie Farima, as I like to call him, but also your beautiful daughter, man. Hats off to you as a dad, brother. You've done a phenomenal job. Happy birthday, little Reg, who is not little at all. Grown man. Grown is the title because we officially have a grown man, 21 years old, college football playing, muscle showing dude. Look at the muscles on that man.
Look at
Muscles,
this
real
because
muscles.
he
Nah,
got,
man, he's bigger than you.
No, he's straight. He's a little
Except
more cut. You just see his a little better. They got lighting in there. I don't have
we
the
got
color.
lighter.
I got it. My
But
light
man, good
budget's low.
stuff, brother.
Well,
Happy
look, I
birthday,
appreciate
Reg.
one thing I will say, man, and this is just the people out there with kids, man. Coach Host told us this, and I get old, you start quoting people. He said, if you want to be successful, you got to surround yourself by people who care. And I say, if you want to help your kids be successful, surround your kids by people who care before they have a chance to make the choices. I have surrounded my son with good brothers like yourself, even though you're from a distance. The people that I run with and the people that I let him see me run with, and the children that I, have had the blessings of coaching, the better ones, the better ones, not just on the field, but just the ones that were raised in the right way. I've put him in that circle, and I think that he's grabbed, a little piece from everybody. I've mentioned many times before, the NCAA football came out. And my son's been was lucky enough to be in there. So go play with him. Get his stats up. I think you could do. A lot of people.
Get his weight up, baby.
My challenge to the group is who can score the most touchdowns with my son in NCAA football 25. Right. So anyway, but there's so many players, and we could try to make a dream team with transfer portal. So many players that he's been around as he came up, and that's not a coincidence. I think they've all helped each other get to where they need to go. Baby girl, we missed the show last week. People seeing my daughter.
Let them know what that is. Oh, I got Reg. Happy birthday, Reg. If you're listening to this, man, no
He's
Uncle
practice.
Brown from afar.
He's about period 7 right now. About period 7. He's in practice. Then we switch over, man. And I want to give love to my baby girl. So this is the Alabama A&M Bulldog. Pretty tough little logo, if I do say so. It's a tough logo. My daughter received her first scholarship offer to go and play. And I contribute. Thank you.
Volleyball. Play volleyball.
Yeah, volleyball. She's a volleyball player. She's worked hard. She's had to live in the shadows a little bit of her brother, but part of that living in the shadows also is trying to live up to an expectation. And I think that what we've tried to do, what many have tried to do, and I was the first person in my family to go to college, graduate.
You graduated?
I think I got a little piece of paper here.
You got that. All right.
It might be somewhere.
It's up there. You was there the whole time.
You can rub it. I won't let you touch it, though. You'll never know. We're never going to get it verified for authenticity. But rumor has it I was at graduation with a cap and gown.
I walked. I did something.
I did not get arrested for trespassing.
Yes, I got it.
We don't know what happened. I walked. That's what I can show.
Good stuff.
This picture somewhere. But when I came out of high school and I was doing whatever, it wasn't expected that you're going to go to college. It wasn't expected. Not that it wasn't encouraged, but people weren't doing it.
Yeah.
You surround yourself by them now, and you see people doing what they can do to earn an opportunity to get a free or reduced education, or at least at a minimum be recruited to a college.
Yeah.
And I think that that's, surrounding yourself by people who do it. It's so normal in the area that we live in right now for the top athletes to get scholarships. It's so normal. Everybody, there's so many names we would forget them if we tried to name them, and that's not a coincidence. Success begets success. So, luckily, my daughter's kind of following line, and she's doing a thing there. Definitely a good thing for my pocketbook. I like extra change. As much as the stock market been beating me up and these gas prices have been high. Well, we won't get into that, but it's just good. I love to see the accomplishment for her, and I hope this something that works out. So I appreciate it.
Congratulations to the family, and that is exciting, right? Look, all of the years that you have spent going to tournaments, all of the money, and we talked about it on this show the last time we had one, because I had basically a whole forearm full of those doggone plastic bracelets, the bands that they give you after you paid your entry fee. All of the miles that you put on the cars, miles that you have earned getting on planes, restaurants that you have gone to give your kids the experience of sport, teaching them how to be a teammate, how to be selfless, how to overcome adversity, how to compete, how to pick themselves up after defeat. After years of the puzzle that you have put together, each one of those pieces, I consider it a puzzle, to get such good news that your child, now your second child, so you're both children, if you will, have been offered scholarships to play a sport while getting their education is amazing, man. So again, salute to you and your wife. Shout out, Bella. Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Can't wait to see your little youngins.
But she can't celebrate with no drink. You and Little Reg can drink. No. She can't drink yet. So
no, she can watch though.
She can watch. She can watch y'all drink.
She in a month she'll be old enough to serve it.
There it is. There it is. She leaves to go work. Hey, come on. Let's make some of this bread. Help pay these bills. But you talking about her scholarship and us bringing up Little Reg, who isn't little anymore, as he's standing there in his Northwestern uniform. And you said in seventh period, they're in camp right now. It just helps us dive into another topic that absolutely, positively, and unequivocally is a reflection of being grown. Because the NCAA, the big bad NCAA, we have heard those four letters. For as long as I've been alive, they were the sort of, they handled everything and mandated and regulated college sports. But while we were in college playing football, blessed to have an opportunity to get a scholarship, we were told and sold on this idea that there was a fair exchange between the money that we generated for the university and the compensation that they are providing for us by giving us an opportunity to go to this school. For us, it was Notre Dame. Fast forward to 2024. Class action lawsuit, we talked about that in the settlement, and people getting paid, back pay. Unfortunately, it only goes to whatever, 2009 or whatever, so we too old. Back pay of all the people that did not get paid. NIL is big, bad, and affecting where people go to school. Now, this week is the first time we done got into some real nitty-gritty with some numbers. For those of you who've been under a rock, the NCAA, in this House versus NCAA lawsuit and the settlement there too, has now come up with essentially what is the equivalent of a salary cap, which will be $22 million annually that a school can pay from their own P&L finances, however they going to submit payment. $22 million. Now, I was wondering where that number comes from, and the number is approximately 20 to 22% of the average annual revenue of a Power 5 school, which means I ain't no mathematician or nothing like that. I ain't the smartest man in the world. I ain't never been called that. But that means that these Power 5 schools
making bread
are averaging $100 million of revenue from media rights, ticket sales, sponsorships. $100 million, Big Flo. And they told us
we ain't got shit. we can't get you to sign triple XL sweatsuit. They only had a couple double X's, Reg. I couldn't get you the triple X sweatsuit.
They would get mad if you took an extra sweatshirt, an extra t-shirt. Try to go get an extra pair of cleats. You're going to have to fight somebody in the equipment room. And $100 million?
I can only see one of your toes. You straight. You got at least a half a season left in those.
If the other shoe don't have a hole in it, that means you're good. So we got to get over that. We don't want to sound like bitter, angry old men. But when you hear about this new identification of a number, which is going to equate to a salary cap, which doesn't even affect what these athletes can make outside of the university's decision to pay, which outside of that third-party payer is what the NIL system is. What do you think? You've got a son in college right now playing. You got a daughter that is awesome, got her first offer for a scholarship to play volleyball in college. You hear these type of numbers. And we've got to admit that the business is booming if you have those kind of numbers in a Power 5 program. Where are we with the state of college sport and with the revenue generating sports, which is traditionally on most campuses, your football team, and in some campuses, to a lesser degree, men's basketball team? Where are we knowing that each one of these schools has $22 million that they can allocate to pay directly from their account to the athlete?
Well, we need to take a step back and just kind of look at the full picture. This is the biggest thing that's ever happened in college sports. And I'm not exaggerating. By far.
The admission that it's $100 million, because that's also an admission. You almost opened up your books. Or the fact that they are now allowed to pay directly from the University of Notre Dame's own checkbook directly to the athlete.
This change it's going to take 2 or 3 years for the whole thing to shake out. There's going to be a lot of opportunity. There's going to be a lot of people who've lost opportunity, but this is the biggest thing that's ever happened in college sports, period, point blank. So I'm going to break it down right now. If you guys look at it, I didn't pull it up. I probably should have had this thing pulled up, but there's been a change in roster limits, right? So this is how it starts off. It started off with the money, right? So now they're going to have 21. Let's just call it 20 million because there's numbers going for 20, 22 million. So let's say $20 million is going to go into the hands of the athletes, right?
Directly from the school.
Directly from the school's revenue share.
A max of 20 million.
Maximum of 22, but let's just assume that mostly the Power 5s are going to participate because it's going to be a death to you if you don't, right?
Right. Especially if you're competing against a school like Texas. Because we're saying on average $100 million. A school like Texas that has on the network and all these other schools, Notre Dame, to be fair. But the
cap is going to be the cap will be consistent. Now, this is interesting. The cap will be consistent from school to school as far as the money. It's not going to be based off of the percentage. It's going to be I need to double check. So I don't think it's going to be based on the percentage of that school. It's going to be based off of a number.
Yeah, it's based on the average of Power 5.
Yeah, so that way
cap is the same, regardless of where you are.
It may hurt you financially more, but at least you're not going to have the Notre Dames and the Texases and the Georgias and Alabama, all those schools just killing you because their average is higher. Now, what's up in the air is, does Title IX apply? Now, I personally think Title IX won't apply. I don't want to get too deep on you guys, but I've been reading this. So Title IX is going to say that men and women's sports has to have an equal opportunity of benefit for colleges have to have an equal opportunity of benefit for men and women based upon the percentage of men and women that go to the school. So that's the nuance. So when I went to Notre Dame, it was 65% male. Now it's like 53% female. It's like more females than men. So when I was so now there has to be more for the females than there are for the males. It's usually going to be a small percentage that you're not going to notice that much. But if your school is an all-guy school or you have 10% female, then you only have the 10%, opportunities for them to have a benefit. The reason why I don't believe that this revenue share will be considered a benefit and therefore won't be affected by Title IX is academic benefits are not taxable. Uncle Sam is not letting all this bread go by and you're not paying any tax. So they're going to call it. There is a cost of attendance that they instituted a few years back where, unlike you and I, where we just got our tuition, we just didn't get any bills. They didn't give us any cash.
Right.
When you got off campus, I think I got $150 to pay for my life, and they wanted me to eat in the diner hall. So they really mistreated you there. But now kids are getting extra money. They get like a $6,000 bonus for being eligible and all these different things. They call that cost of attendance. There's been no taxes to that. So now I think they're going to end up with a tax obligation. So they're going to have to call it pay. So therefore, the predictions are 75% of the revenue is going to go to football. Well, with that, they've gotten rid of scholarship limits, which I was hoping for this a while ago, because now the girls, now with all this revenue coming in, the Big Ten went from $56 million to $100 million overnight. Next year they get $100 million to school. I was like, you got to have more than 4 scholarships for boys volleyball. There's money there to pay the education. I still believe in the spirit of scholarship, which is to pay for an education. I think that needs to go first. Well, now they've raised the limits. You guys can Google this because I wasn't prepared to bring it up. But there's some schools. There's a sport called stunt that got an increase of 51 scholarships. They went from like 12 scholarships to 60, whatever 12 plus 51 is. 63 scholarships. 63. They went up there. But like soccer went from 9.9 scholarships for men to 28 scholarships for men. Right. But with that, they've also instituted a roster limit. So right now, and I'm jumping around a little bit here, so stay with me. In college football, you'd have 85 scholarships, which is down from 92 in our day. We had 92 scholarships.
Yep.
So they dropped that down to 85. But rosters would have as many as 120 and 130 students.
Yeah, walk-ons.
Because you had to have walk-ons.
Right. Yep.
The issue is here. Now they dropped it to 105. They haven't outlawed walk-ons, but you can do up to 105 scholarships. So here's where I think the problem is going to come in. Alabama, Georgia, LSU, all those guys, they're not going to scholarship that guy that was only worthy of being a walk-on. They're just going to get rid of him, right?
Right.
Those bodies that we have. And I hate to just diminish you to calling you a body, but we all know very few walk-ons have on-field value that they're going to have. But there's going to be some in those kids.
Yeah, it's going to be exceptions, but on average, right.
But on average, they're guys that want to be part of the program. They're necessary. They help out with practice. They help out with drills. They can give you a look, and they're satisfied for the most part with just being part of the team, right? They get no benefit. They're not going to suddenly scholarship those kids, right? Because a walk-on at University of Illinois that's the 115th best player, 120th best player on the team is not better than a scholarship kid that goes to South Dakota State. He's not better than a scholarship kid that goes to Miami of Ohio or University of Toledo. So what's going to happen is those schools are going to be fleeced.
Right.
But we started to notice a little bit more parity over the years in sports. Other than the top 2 or 3 schools, we saw some more parity because we went from 92 scholarships to 85, and you've taken those bottom 7 and you've redistributed them to other programs that now made all those programs more successful. So now we're taking a major step backwards because you're going to get 105 kids. Let's face it, 40 kids are involved in the program maximum. 40, 45 kids maximum are involved in the program any given season. The rest of the people are waiting until next year or thinking about transferring.
So now in the sense that you can
plan, you're playing, you're ready, you're game day ready. You may not play, but you're on the sideline, you're following the coach.
Right.
You might go in next series. 40, 45 people that may have an opportunity. Too deep, and a lot of those too deep are on the special teams or whatever. Beyond that 45, you're either in the developmental mode, waiting for next year, injured, or thinking about transferring. Now we're going to increase that number. So now you have half the team that's that way. Now you're going to add another 20 kids that tomorrow you get an opportunity. You get a phone call from the University of Georgia or it's just called University of Illinois, and you're in a lesser program, and they say, hey, we want you to come over here and play. You may not have even been the starter in the on the team, but you're playing, you're contributing, you're better than the walk-ons that they had, because now we have to do with less, which means we need a better scout team, we need this. Right. That's going to be an offer that's very hard for people to turn down, to switch to a Power 5, Power 4 program from a lesser, or either Group of 5 or FCS program. So you're going to get, I'm sorry to get long-winded, you're going to see a major shift. But what I think is going to hurt is this education is out of the window now. The transferring is going to be ridiculous.
That you're saying is though you're foreshadowing or predicting something that is going to happen. I would argue that that's already happened.
It has, but not to the numbers, because you have to think, Bobby, we still had 85 scholarships. So what they were doing with some schools, University of Michigan, what they're doing now is they'll give you an NIL deal for $100,000 and no scholarship, right? Just because they ran out of scholarships, and they'll just give you an NIL, and then
just pay your own tuition.
Pay your own tuition.
$100,000, you can pay your own tuition.
Pay your own tuition, so you can go take whatever the minimum is, whatever the cheapest is if you're a grad transfer, and just kind of get by. So they're doing that. But now that you're saying we're going to have 105 roster limit, we had to have 105 Harvard scholarships, they're going to go and fleece the lower levels. And then let's go there. Money. Now, if you end up on the University of Wisconsin team or a West Virginia team or some sort of team, you're going to get a check, a big dollar amount. So now you're going to get guys that don't want to let football go. I have a 9th year of eligibility, and I'm using it because if I go get a job, they're saying that the average player is going to make $130,000. Like, that's going to be the average that's going to happen. Whose first job is going to pay them $130 and pay for their dorm and pay for their food? So you're going to get guys, 5th year is the norm. People aren't going to give up that 5th year, because what do they have? If they're either going to go to the NFL or they're going to go take a pay cut to get a job, who wants to do that? So it's going to be very, very interesting. It's going to be very business-like, worse than it's ever been.
We saw some of that this year, because we talked about Armando Bacot staying for the additional year and playing in March Madness. And in March Madness, he did an interview, and he talked about how much money he had made through name, image, and likeness. And so we had seen it, but it was the third-party payer. Knowing that the money is coming directly from the university, from their coffers, right? And there is at least some form of redistributing the revenues that come into the door. First of all, identifying on average what that number is. Again, 22% of that number, right? They said the 20 to 22 million, the 22 million came from being 20 to 22% of average revenue for a Power 5 program. And that 100 million is just your media rights, your ticket sales, and your sponsorship. So it's not even including, donors and boosters or write a check.
And NIL is not going anywhere, by the way. They'll still have NIL to add on top.
It'll be a second job. That'll be your second job. But I just, that's my only thing when I look at it. The fact that you had to put a cap on it, and I think this is where I was initially going when I said I was a little leery about what name, image, and likeness has become, because the NCAA did not regulate it. So it is the Wild Wild West. With this settlement by way of this lawsuit, I think you finally have some regulation to it. And if you've got to decide, not the NIL part, but what comes from the university, if you have to decide how to spend that 20 to 22 million, and you're capped at that, the cap itself, I think, makes somewhat of gives everybody a fair chance, right? Somewhat fair. And the decision to allocate it a certain way, I think, gives it a little more policing. It gives it a little more policing, because you have to spend it in a way that makes sense, that attracts the right players. Like, I don't think there's going to be any program that can take that 20, let's just call it 22 million. There won't be any school that takes the 22 million. Let's go for Texas. While they wanted Archie Manning, they're not going to take 22 million and say, Archie Manning, we've got a salary cap of 22 million. Here, come to school on top of your NIL, right? It has to be split amongst players, or players will go somewhere else, is my point.
Yeah. There'll be a lot that's going on there, but I think that the snowball effect of what's going to happen to sports is going to be amazing. People staying in school a long time because there's money to be made now is going to be crazy. The transferring, and I just think that the degrees they're done. The graduation rates are going to fall off the side of a hill.
It's going to be like that AI interview class. You
class
graduate.
Yeah. So I think this is an interesting time. I could use my son having one more year of eligibility just to see to get some of these checks. But I'm happy my son will be graduating next year.
He don't get a COVID year? He's got a COVID year. No.
He doesn't get a COVID year, but he'll still have 2 years of eligibility. So hopefully he can taste a couple years of nice money. There's money starting to go around this year. Hopefully he can get some of that. But at the end of the day, I'm happy he's going to get his degree before the madness really begins. Sometimes you look back at your decisions and you're so happy, but we're so pleased with this decision because this school is not running people out.
The decision that he went to Northwestern versus
other schools because he's still at an education first school. I can't think of another one, honestly, that is education first in all of college sports. Every other school that I could talk to you about, and I won't name names, but you can see the ones I'm leaving out. They're football first, and they'll run you out of the school if things aren't really going exactly as planned. The only way Northwestern's really running you out is if you've graduated and they don't think you can help them as a grad student. But every other school in the country is running you out of there at this point now. The way that we're state of there, they don't care if you graduate anymore.
It's business. It is a business.
It's a business. And not that I think my son can play, so I think he should be in a situation where he wouldn't get ran out of there. But that's a really tough pressure, man. It's a really tough business. So you may not be making some of the bread that some other people are, but this is just like new hires at your job. You could be making $50,000 at your job, and if they hire somebody new off the street, they're gonna pay them $75,000, and they would never give you a $25,000 raise. You know what I mean? And I think that's the way it is now. There's kids transferring all the time, getting $100,000, $200,000 to transfer, and then the same people on their team aren't making that bread.
Right.
So this will be different. This will
be free enterprise, man. This is completely free market economics. And I guess while your son turned 21 today, you probably already felt old.
I felt old yesterday, to be fair. I felt old yesterday.
This new world of college sports has me feeling old. Mm-hmm. To think we're talking about not only paying players from a third-party payer, name, image, and likeness, but now paying players directly from the athletic department, from the program, from the university. To think about that compared to when we were called amateur athletes, it's a whole new world. Mm-hmm. It's a whole new world. And to your point, I hope that the adults in the room will continue to encourage these young athletes to do what they need to do in the classroom, even if they incentivize them somehow, some way, and connect the money to whether it be a grade point average or getting a bonus within that structure for doing things in a way such that you excel academically, because we all know that one day the whistle's going to stop blowing. The fans are going to stop cheering. Your knees are going to stop working, and you're going to live a long life after that. So I hope the adults in the room will figure out a way to create some sort of balance. When I say balance, not parity, we were talking about from a competitive standpoint, balance in terms of these young people's priorities. Because when you get to campus at 17, 18, 19 years old, it's really tough. Your brain has not developed enough for you to strike that balance yourself. And if you don't get started right away in terms of being academically engaged, chances are you're never going to turn over a new leaf in college. It just normally doesn't happen. So with that, shout out to the big bad NCAA. Shout out to the fact that these young athletes are gonna get paid not once but twice. They got 2 job man. How many? They got 2 job man. They got
Tree jobs. You got 2 jobs.
They got two
You
job
got
man. How many
jobs.
jobs you got? Now, hey, when they reflect upon our college career, they go, how many jobs y'all had? You're like 0. You lazy lima bean. You lazy.
Everybody's Jamaican in
Everybody,
football.
they got job man. Shout out to those athletes. And then shout out to us, because we sitting here with egg on our faces, old men looking back at how broke we were. Man, you know how far I used to take $21. $21 would last me an entire month. My mom would try to put $5. They didn't have no minimums back then. Put $5 in my account, and I would make it stretch. I could do a whole weekend with $5. And now I look, and these dudes getting paid.
So something you just brought up, man, that I've been kind of kicking around this idea in these conversations before. You know, I came up, you know, first generation American. We had everything we needed, but none you didn't get none of what you wanted. But you had everything you needed, right? So my cup was always warm enough, my stomach was always filled, as you can see. And you know, I got from point A to point B. Everything I needed, my parents provided for it. But we weren't trying to do no vacations. We weren't going to Sizzler was a big deal to me. I thought Bennigan's was one of the best restaurants. Olive Garden's what you got on your birthday if you didn't just get a cake. Because my parents came from absolutely nothing in Haiti, so they weren't really worried about whether or not I know what a $50 ribeye tastes like off the bone or on the bone. I know nothing about that. So that's fine. No hard feelings. Went to college. We lived on, crappy dining hall food.
Ramen noodle, baby.
Yeah, ramen noodles. Me and my friend Shane Sadler, my roommate Shane Sadler, it was whose night was it to make the spaghetti sauce? And we would try to freak the spaghetti sauce, add a little seasoning to it. So my ragu tastes better than your ragu. That was it. But you know what, though? Happy. So when I came out of college and I made $26,000 my first job, it was easy to replace my life. I still thought things were expensive, but I got an apartment, I leased a car, I kicked it, I did whatever. I thought I was doing it. I didn't have big money, but I was doing it. I was fine. I never had to go to my parents and say, could you let me hold something? None of that happened, right? And I enjoyed my life. What is going to happen to these kids when they come out of college and don't make the NFL?
Or when they got to face just a little bit of adversity. And we had to climb the hill once we got kicked out and our eligibility had expired. But I think the hill's going to be much steeper because the benefits that you get while you are there are much more vast. The resources that are at your disposal as a college athlete, to go from that to having to work on your own, to having to even find a job, and this episode is called Grown, and your son has done a masterful job because his parents, you included, have done a masterful job raising him. But there are a lot of kids out there that don't have the support system that little Reg does. And so that's what scares me, is without the support system, when the benefits are cut off, without the skill sets to survive. You talked about the spaghetti sauce. They got to make those spaghetti. We used to have, how creative you had to be to make sure you had a ride to certain places depending on where you went to college. If you didn't go to college in New York City,
I didn't have a cell phone. I had to organize my stuff in the future. With no Ubers, with no Uber Eats, Grubhub, all that kind of stuff. What the hell? I mean, so I actually wish, I do love the NIL stuff. I do love all this stuff because they should be getting paid, and I'd rather see these kids get the money and blow it than have it go to the universities and the students that do not contribute to the sports, and nobody has an appreciation for the blood, sweat, and tears. But I do really wish that the money would be, because you're still an amateur, you don't get none of the money, but it just sits there in a pot. So when you're done playing, you grow a pot so you can get out of school and say, all right, a kid can have $500,000-$600,000 waiting on them when they get out of school, which would more than likely give them an opportunity to have some sort of a financial advisor that's grown the money. And then when they leave school, you can say, could you imagine a kid comes out and he has $500,000, it's in some sort of an account, and maybe through the education of the system, he's ready to go. He can get a job, and that $500,000 just adds $50,000 a year to whatever he's earned at his job. So now he's really bettered his life, or whatever you can expect. 10% might be a little aggressive, but just adds like 30 or 40,000 to what he's going to do or she's going to do when they come out, and has this extra money, as opposed to blowing through the money, You go to some of these schools, they show you the parking lot and all the cars that are out there, and these kids are not going to be making that money when they leave. Think about how many people lives are ruined when they come out of the NFL. Think about yourself. You played in the NFL, you came out and got 17 more degrees, right? You went out there because you love dining hall food. So you wanted to make sure that you always had penny pitchers. You know what I'm saying? Like you couldn't give that up.
I was addicted to the ramen noodles.
I was addicted to ramen noodles and penny pitcher night. But you got guys like yourself, Malcolm Johnson, just a bunch of guys that have done really well beyond what their NFL career had potential to give them afterwards. But there's so many guys that more than you don't. So they came out the NFL and did nothing, whatever. We're going to start seeing that fall from grace coming out of college.
Straight out of college. And with less life experience to prepare you for that fall, with less money to absorb that bad decision-making, with less advisors. You talk about the financial advisors. When you go to an NFL team, the first thing they do is they bring these advisors, and they've got people that understand, right? Something as simple as the job tax. Every away game that you play, these states are smart enough to know I want a piece of that.
Somebody told me, I heard the other day, I started a cup from Michael Jordan.
Very well might have. I don't know.
Michael, there was like, man, Jordan making too much bread. I think he got to break us off all the stuff he came in town to do. But I worry about that. I don't think that that's a reason not to give them the money because of where the money's going to go. Otherwise,
but how you give them the money? If we play these back, if we play our episodes back, and I hope that all of you do. So like, comment, subscribe to the podcast and to the YouTube channel. Go find one of these old episodes when we first talked about name, image, and likeness. And this was the third-party payer. I said it might be difficult, but the respective athletic programs could put somebody on staff because they all started having these NIL collective, whether they had a collective or not, they had NIL advisors on campus, right? And I said that they should probably add some sort of financial literacy advisor on campus too, and come up with a way that was more creative for the NIL revenue and structured a way that you don't have it just to blow it, right? For example, I seen now he's got more money than he probably could spend, and his dad got more money, but there was a podcast where Shedeur Sanders is on there, and they're going back for, hey, so what you going to do with your money? They're talking about buying jets. And they're going down a list of liabilities. They're running down liabilities because at 20 years old.
I'm going to buy me a jet, man.
Right.
Shit.
At 20 years old, like that's how you think at 20. What liability can I go waste all this money on so everybody who don't mean nothing to me whatsoever can be impressed? These particular young athletes, the ones that were literally raised in the era of Instagram, where there is no such thing as delayed gratification, where somebody can be your air quote friend by just hitting a button, follow back. They're your friend now. They can follow everything that you do, and these athletes literally will post something, and if it doesn't have enough likes within a certain amount of time, they pull it down. Those are people that not only through NIL opportunities, which, right, there's a two-way street. You got to do something to get that money, but now the university is going to give them money. You're going to go give them money? Yeah, it's a recipe for disaster. I like the salary cap in the sense that it gives parity. I think that these universities, and look, I proposed a few things for Notre Dame. I think financial literacy should be an almost like it should be a prerequisite before you get a single dime. Because if not, you're going to be one of the laundry list of players that was really just a turnstile. The money came in, it went out. The money came in, it went out. The money came in, it went out. And then when you are old men, not like me, like Big Flo, he old man. He got 21-year-old. He old, y'all. As of today, the man got 21-year-old. He old, all right?
The term is grown.
Grown. You right, grown. When you are grown, you got to say it twice for you. When you grown.
I'm grown.
You grown. When you grown,
you're a grown man.
It's too late to look back on them dollars and say, I wish I would have. You know, I said this before. I wish I could just go find all of the money that I wasted in exotic dance facilities and just pick it up.
Well,
I did that once a month.
Show.
It's a family show. That's why I called it what I called it, instead of calling it what we used to call it, the booty club. But I wish I could take that money back, because for that one night of flexing and showing everybody that this is how meaningless this money is to me, I'm throwing it away. And now I see these young athletes, and I hear them in these podcast interviews, and I do see the pictures of the football parking lot, the respective universities. And I just want to put my arm around them and want to just say something that connects with them. Young brother, what people think about you ain't going to never be worth a damn thing. Not a penny. I hope the universities take heed. Listen to them old episodes. We said this, that you got to structure the payment a certain way, right? You got to play chess. You know what's coming. The NFL, over generations of players that have ended up broke, the 30 for 30 broke is just about this very thing. We know what's going to happen. And now we're going to give the money, and in some cases, even more money, to a younger audience. What the hell you think going to happen? So we'll leave it there, man. Any final words when it comes to the business booming the NCAA? Because the NCAA and all this money, they grown, man. And the whole structure is grown. Compared to the structure that we had, I'll give you last word on before we move on. What you got?
No, I'm just saying, everybody pay attention. Let's look back in 10 years and from now, and we'll start wondering, when we've lived through this and people have forgotten about it and the youngers are coming up, we're just going to wonder what the face of sports is going to look like. Is this going to be the end of it? Is this going to make people throw their hands in the air? Is there just going to be a very choice few? I could see a lot of programs just saying whatever, because there's going to be definitely a different level now of schools that don't participate in the profit sharing. So there's going to be two NCAAs, those that share the profit and those that don't. And those
have nots, baby,
are going to go the way of the Ivy Leagues, and they may even say we're not going to do scholarships anymore because there's no revenue to make. So we'll see. I'm just happy my kids are the age they are, so they can kind of ride through before it implodes.
Yeah, it should be interesting. Let's hop into quickly, man. We're gonna go lightning round from this point forward. If you're just joining us, you have tuned in to the Ball Hog Sports Talk, where sports, business, and entertainment collide. We got the Big Flow Show in the building, and I am your boy, B. Brian, aka the Ball, aka Mountain, aka Mr. Excessive Rush, aka Breezy. This episode is going by the title of Grown. Not only because it is little Reg Farima, who is not little at all, birthday, but the business of NCAA has grown. The athletes that are currently displaying their prowess on a global stage in France, Paris to be exact, Olympics 2024. Let's just go with the highlights for now. I guess it's worth talking about some of these athletes. But before we do, right, we got to go to the medal count. Who do you think has the most medals? If you had to predict.
United States has the overall most medals.
Overall most medals. Who do you think has the most gold medals? If you had to predict.
If I had to guess, I would say China.
You're right on. China is leading the gold medal count. They are third in the overall count, because you have the United States has 41 medals. France has 31 medals. I'm sure that they are happy because they are
home cooking in that. But
home cooking. China has 27, but of the 27, 13 are gold. Second in gold medals is the United States with 9. The nation with the most silver medals is the United States with 17. The nation with the most bronze medals is the United States with 15. All right. So having said that, that's our medal count. Mm-hmm. Now, how do we get here? Because when you talk about grown, I'm going to start with Noah Lyles. Because Noah Lyles went out there on a limb and made fun of the NBA at one point for calling their championship a world champion. World? It ain't the world. It's the United States. They can play, dog, but that ain't the world. Remember he said that? Remember that? That was kind of controversial. Yeah. So now Noah Lyles got to back up his mouth. Noah Lyles is aiming for not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 gold medals. He's running the 100.
He still
which
don't win,
he and another sprinter, a Jamaican sprinter, are the odds-on favorite to be 1-2. We just got to figure out he's going to be the one or the two. He has not lost a single heat of the 200 since the last Olympics in Tokyo. So he's absolutely the odds-on favorite to win the 200. The 4x1, the U.S. should win that. And then in a controversial fashion, because he wanted that fourth, at least the opportunity to get the fourth gold medal, he is on the 4x400.
They don't do the 4x2 in the Olympics, right?
They do not. They do not. That is not an Olympic event in track and field. So do you think Noah Lyles is going to deliver?
I think he's going to win the 1, 2. I think he's going to win the 2. He's got a good chance to win the 1, but we both know how the 1 is.
The 1 is so, yeah, it could go either way, baby.
He's definitely got a chance. I don't know. I mean, I got to look. I don't know our sprinters enough. The 4x1, it's either us or Jamaica, or every once in a while Great Britain sneak in there. But I'm going to go ahead and give us the 4x1. Yep. I think if we don't win the 4x4, it's going to be because of him.
And does that then sully his Olympic reputation? Because going into this, whether we want to, like, first of all, he's got like this Kermit the Frog voice. He's got this weird laugh. And now he is really embracing this whole, he's got this Antonio Brown vibe to him right now. He's going to do anything, say anything, wear anything. And to take on the NBA, which is of all the U.S. sports, by far the most global sport, to take on that championship, to take on those players, and if you don't believe me, just go to Twitter. Players really didn't like his stance. He got a target on his back. And I think that if he comes up short, especially in an area like the 200 where he's the odds-on favorite, or he's underwhelming in the 4x4 and leads to them losing, I think that can sully his reputation.
It should, and I think it's wrong. He's doing
You're just bad. He said it should. And
no, you know, okay. When I read it, he's like 2 or 3 seconds behind the next available person.
And normally you take the top, the top 6 400-meter runners in your country, and you take the top 6 because throughout the rounds, qualifying rounds, you can use the 5th and the 6th. But to take someone that's that much slower than other 400-meter runners.
He didn't even run the 400.
It's propaganda. It's propaganda.
I don't like it. It's not fair. I'd rather see a little 16-year-old boy out there. He took
Quincy Wilson.
Quincy Wilson was the 6th fastest in the whole thing, right?
Yep. No, he got no. He was. I think he went 5th. I think he got 5th.
Was he 5th? Whatever it was, he just barely made the whole thing to travel down there. So he'll probably get a prelim race just so he can run one of those races and try to get to the finals. But the problem I have is, like, you're not even faster than him in the 400. Let that little boy run, man. If you're going to do that.
Yeah, but they don't have the same Quincy Wilson does. But look, I think this whole thing has been set up on the track and field side. We're going to celebrate Sha'Carri Richards. She had her first round and did well. But I think on the men's side, this was set up to be the recapture of dominance in the sprinting races for America. Noah Lyles is the face of that. America has not dominated sprints in a long, long time. Usain Bolt had a run that he's Hall of Fame track and field because of the run he had. And so Jamaica had sprints on lock. So I think there's this propaganda machine, and what better way to use the most global stage in all of sport, the Olympics, to further that propaganda and that narrative. I think that's what this was set up for. So we'll see. We shall see. But the team that he took on, or he took on the NBA, but now with these NBA players, they look good. NBA players, our U.S. team looked good in their second game, which was against South Sudan. We know they had the primer leading up to the actual Olympics, where they needed literally a game-winning shot by LeBron at the end of the game to beat South Sudan. This time it was a lot more convincing. Do you see anybody dethroning the NBA, the USA team?
I actually don't. People, you got to get your people overreact to basketball games for a series that tells you anything can happen. A sport where in the NBA you have to win the best of 7 to win a championship. They let you know anything can happen. We sure overreact when things don't happen. You got a team that hasn't played together going against a national team who's probably played together since they were 15 years old, and then through varying times, and then you throw an NBA team together and just say, all right, just go play. It's gonna
Not
take a
South
little while.
Sudan. They hadn't played together, but everybody else. I got you.
No. But what I'm saying is the NBA is gonna have some kinks. They're the most talented Team USA's got some kinks. They're the most talented team out there. I think they should win. I mean, the team that's who's the biggest threat to them this year? Supposedly Canada.
We thought it was going to be Serbia, but they haven't looked great with Jokic. You got France. Wemby is on that team. That makes them a juggernaut. And yeah, so that Germany is always good. Australia
Wemby not sweet.
Lost in a surprising.
Wemby couldn't take an NBA
Canada's
team,
a good team. Canada's
the one I heard was supposed to be a threat, but they were going to beat their face.
With an American flag around our doggone shoulder. They're going to beat your face in. That's why everybody hates us. That bravado right there. You know, they don't really like us in France because you come over there with that bravado. We're going to beat your face.
I don't like France, no way.
Grown. So, y'all just act grown. You know what I mean? This episode of Grown, that's why they don't like us. We just act grown.
I got a grudge. I still got a grudge with France, so I'm not trying to hear all that.
We.
Until y'all get that money back to Haiti, France, you're dead to me.
There it is. There it is. Hey. I like that. But this is the time that some of those grudges, past wars and conflicts and Olympics is where we could fight on prime time, baby. So it should be interesting. I don't think the U.S. team is going to be dethroned. They are leading their group. There's an interesting game today. France plays Germany. Both are undefeated. I think Germany's leading that group because of point disparity. So that should be a good game today. The U.S. men's basketball team is back at it tomorrow. So make sure you tune in. Let's get to gymnastics, man. Before I get to because we talking about grown. Before I get to the person who might be the best athlete ever of all time. That's right, I said it. I want to talk about Suni Lee, man, because Suni Lee had 2 kidney issues, 2 real bad kidney situations, put on drastic weight. She surged at the end to get onto the award stand to get a bronze. And any other Olympic year, that would be the story of the Olympics if somebody overcame those atrocities.
House or never.
Right? This just happens to be one of them years. But let's make sure we give her props. Shout out to Suni Lee. Way to show adversity. And like we talked about, man, like overcoming some difficulty. Falling down and being able to get up and knock some dirt off you. That is the prerequisite to be grown. You gotta go through some things to be grown. Suni Lee, shout out to you. You represented the country very well in your family. Very, very grown. Got her a bronze medal. I would love to stick to that particular narrative or story when it comes to gymnastics. But the real narrative ain't got nothing to do with Suni Lee. There was also someone that faced adversities in our last Olympic in Tokyo. We had a show that was entitled The Twisties. And we had this whole psychoanalysis about this generation. How they deal with mental health in different ways, or they identify it so much that it becomes sort of this untouchable thing that you can't be tough when someone's going through some form of mental health crisis, a la the Twisties. I did not think that Simone Biles, while I knew she was going to go down as one of the greatest gymnasts ever, well, I knew that she was the most phenomenal ambassador of gymnastics and one of the most phenomenal ambassadors of our country on a global stage. I didn't think that she could outdo herself. And yet, she did. And winning the gold in the fashion that she did, struggling on the bars, which she even admitted, I didn't even do that in practice. Struggling first. being able to recapture that greatness in an instant and do what she needed to do to regain the lead, and then the floor exercise blow all of our minds away and score by far the highest score because of both the difficulty and the execution. Simone Biles, at the right short height of whatever she is, 4'11".
4'8".
She's 4'8". Her grown, bro. She grown.
They got to test her, man. I don't think she's human. I don't think she's
not
she's
for
the
drugs.
same.
They got to test if she's human. They got to test the DNA. Hell with drugs.
She is Haitian though, so I mean that does a lot. But fam, they showed her do a flip. You know, when you watch her, you wish you could watch. You know how they do at the 40-yard dash at the combine, they superimpose.
Oh yeah.
I'd like to see them
that.
superimpose the pass. Like, I don't think we can appreciate this. Her head got to 11 feet. Her head, not her hand. The rim is 10 feet. Her head was 11 feet, 8 inches. They were saying her body got so high, she would beat the world record in the high jump by like 6 inches. Now, I know that floor gives you some bounce, but it ain't no springboard. It gives you a little something. Your head is at 11 foot 6 inches. She's 4'8". When she does these flips in the air, you gotta look back and be like, did she just flip 3 times off the ground?
Off the ground.
What kind of vert do you have to have? She's an animal. Like, people are getting 13-6, 13-5, 14, whatever. She got 15 something to win it all.
Yeah.
She could have stepped out of bounds every time.
A phenomenal score.
She's a killer, man.
She's a killer.
I ain't a killer, but don't push me.
Look, and the crazy part is we still got Noah Lyles. We still got Sha'Carri Richardson. We get all of these people that, you know.
We still have her. She's not done. There's still the individual goals.
Individuals, and she did well again in individuals. Another amazing performance. But I think, although we're early in these Olympics, she's the MVP. If there was an MVP, which there should be, and we're going to create that. The Ball Hawk Sports Talk, we're going to create it. Now, we ain't got a big budget, so it's not going to be this exotic prize. But there has to be an MVP of the Olympics. It's hers.
Okay, but then we got to go to the little swimmer chick,
Ledecky. Katie Ledecky. I think she's overall MVP. She's right now. She's overall MVP. Katie Ledecky.
I love the Olympics.
I do too.
I never get it. Look, I'm not the most patriotic person. I'm not like anti-American or like that, but I'm not one of those people. I think people go overboard. We're all in the same country. They get a little too over. But man, when the Olympic comes out, boy, I be in my house brushing my teeth. I don't know what it brings something out of me, man. But at least I watch anything on the Olympics. I don't ping pong, team handball. You know, they got the people now. You see the people with the pistol shot. That's something I need to get into. I'm gonna see if I can get sweet. Yeah, they got a dude. I seen a dude today. He had his hand in his pocket, one hand. Everyone knows when you shoot, you use 2 hands. He had one hand and his hand in his pocket.
I got this. Don't worry about it.
Then they had the other lady. She was leaned all the way back like this here.
You talking about ping pong, table tennis. Anthony Edwards has now been a fan because, you know, Anthony Edwards said he can do anything. I can play any sport, all of that, anything. I'm good at all of that. He has become a fan of the table tennis team. U.S. table tennis team has been attending matches. So it's not only because of the competition that kind of snares us all in, the patriotic nature of watching your nation on the global stage, but it's also like the sub-stories, all the stuff that's happening outside of the competitive fields of play. So we do got to get Katie Ledecky her flowers. In their bronze medal by way of the relay, she has now earned her 13th Olympic medal. At the ripe young age of 27, 13 Olympic medals, more Olympic medals than any other woman ever. And when you say something like that, you gotta say it with your chest, because Katie Ledecky, you're grown. You're flat out grown. Congratulations. 13 of them things, man.
Impressive, man. I mean, you know, then when you start, so I'm a big longevity guy. When I start seeing people like how long they've been doing things, they got people on the Olympic team. And this is the stories behind the stories that There's a girl that's on the Olympic team with Katie Ledecky that when she was a little kid, she was Katie Ledecky for Halloween. And you still out here doing it. I love that, man. You're like swimming next to this girl, like I was you. They got another picture. They had a LeBron with some little girl. He took a picture of her, and now she's in the Olympic Village with LeBron. She's an Olympian too. Those
Awesome,
type of
man.
stories are fantastic.
Now you gotta love those because that's one step further than Anthony Edwards talked about KD being his role model, but you really know you committed if you dress up as Katie Ledecky. That means you really you committed to it. But shout out to Katie Ledecky. Before we get out of here, I gotta talk about Hall of Fame because the Hall of Fame, NFL Hall of Fame game was last night. It was cut short by weather, but technically, I think what's that team name in Chicago?
The Super Bowl champ?
You ain't won no Super Bowl champs.
In 6.
We talking about
the Bears in 6.
The Bears in 6.
The Bears in 6.
What's that team name in Chicago that won the Hall of Fame game last night? First preseason game was on last night. I'll let you introduce that first. What happened in the first
man? These Chicago Bears. I'm gonna tell you what, man. It's gonna be a controversy at quarterback. I really like the quarterback we had yesterday. He was dropping dimes. The dude was throwing man. He was looking good.
Ripken. That's Mark Ripken's nephew.
Mm-hmm. Cal Ripken's cousin.
Right.
So no, not Ripken.
Ripken. I said Ripken.
No, you had to say it wrong. You messed up, so I had to let you know how wrong you were. So
thank you. You're right. Not Ripken. Ripken. Mark Ripken.
Mark Ripken's nephew. He can throw the ball. We had another receiver. I can't remember his name was, number 80. He caught so many balls on that Notre Dame Tony Pride dude. I thought he was picking on him, man. But that's high. You can't teach height. So I don't know.
Teach height.
I think we're gonna be.
You feel good about the Bears after they won a shortened, meaningless.
I hate lying to the people. No, I still don't feel good yet.
Yeah. But it was a celebration of the Hall of Fame. This year's Hall of Fame class. Every year, I mean, Hall of Fame. And look, in terms of Hall of Fames, I gotta give it to the NFL. To me, it's very, very difficult to get into the Hall of Fame in NFL. Very difficult. Very rarely do you see any of the names and you like, even the legacy guys. You look at the legacy guys and their stats in terms of like comparing them to their peers. It's hard to get into the NFL Hall of Fame, right? But this year's class is again a very stellar class. This year's Hall of Fame class includes pass rusher Dwight Freeney, linebacker Patrick Willis, the 49ers, feel like he was just playing. Randy Gradishar, legacy, older guy. You got the wide receiver Andre Johnson, and you got your first return man, Devin Hester, a defensive tackle, Steve McMichael. And I saved what I think is the best for last. We talked about the best athlete ever maybe being Simone Biles. This guy might give her a run for her money.
Who?
Julius Peppers. At 6'7", 290 pounds.
You think he could do a flip 6 feet?
I think he could. In the NFL, he played defensive tackle very well. Defensive end, very well. And then after the Bears do what the Bears do and got rid of him, reshaped his body and played outside linebacker.
Honestly, with everything you're saying, like anybody who's played football at any sort of higher level, that is the most unheard of thing in the world.
It's a freak of
when you get older, you move to a slower position. When you're a corner, you go to safety. When you're a safety, you go to linebacker. When you're a linebacker, you go to defensive end. You're a D-line, blah, blah, blah. As you gain weight, they used to go D-line, O-line, bus line. D-line, you start to get slower or whatever, but you're faster than that guy. For him to play defensive tackle, defensive end, and then lose weight with the Packers and be a stand-up linebacker in coverage is the most unheard of move ever. No one does that.
No, wait. What's equally unheard of is that same 6'7", 290-pound man was a force to be reckoned with as an NCAA basketball player at
North Carolina.
one of the Blue Bloods, UNC Tar Heels.
He was a hooper.
I don't think we give him enough credit, man. Like, we talk about Bo Jackson, which we should. We talk about Coach Prime, which we should. But when it comes to next level athletes, bro, I'm a big proponent of play multiple sports. When you think of multiple sport athletes, I think you got to think of Julius Peppers on the Mount Rushmore of athletes that were able to play. There's been this whole debate about basketball players being able to play football, football players being able to play basketball, and, led largely by, what's the little picklehead boy named Doc Rivers' son, Austin Rivers, led this whole debate about whether or not basketball players could just go, ain't no football players just come over here and play basketball. Well, you're wrong when it comes to Julius Peppers. Julius Peppers, congratulations on your Hall of Fame induction, which is going to happen here in shortly, the actual induction. But more importantly, man, that dude, I think, might be one of the most impressive, versatile, freak of nature athletes that sports in general has ever seen. Shout out to Julius Peppers, man. I'll give you last word on before we take it home today, man. This episode of Grown, I had to make sure we talk about Julius Peppers because at 6'7", 290 pounds, being able to dunk a basketball and dominate the front court against the best college team in all of college basketball in his day, and then transition to be able to play defensive tackle, defensive end, and outside linebacker, not for his local Pop Warner team, but against the best players that play this game in the NFL. That man grown. Shout out.
The worst thing is we had to deal with him, too. That's the thing that sucked. He went to the Packers, so we had to deal with that mistake. Yeah. We thought he was done. He was like, I'm still here.
I still standing.
But Shay, shout out to Devin Hester, set the record for the most non-offensive score touchdowns in NFL history. He had 15 punt returns, 5 or 6 kick returns, and a field goal return for a touchdown. And the only person ever to return the opening kickoff of the Super Bowl back for a touchdown. We didn't score.
Y'all were in that Super Bowl for that.
We were there.
Y'all was there
for
that play.
That score was the only touchdown that we had. We scored one, and they scored however many unanswered points after that.
Yeah, it is what it is, man. Shout out to Devin Hester, too, man. Another Florida boy. Shout out to the University of Miami, having both Devin Hester and Andre Johnson in one induction class. Shout out to them, man. That's big time. That is grown as a program. Let's take it home with this. We started by explaining why initially we wanted to go with this title, and so eloquently and straight from the heart. Big Flo Show talked about his son being 21, what that meant to watch those years of growth and maturation, but also to see all the people that have impacted his son on the way to this 21st birthday. And I'll end this episode of Grown with the same appreciation for all of you who have continued to follow us and support us. We ask you humbly, like we do every week, to like, comment, share, tag a friend, tag a foe, tag anyone you know. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel and the podcast. But in terms of being grown as a podcast, we only got to this point several years later out of labor of love because people like you support us. So we want to say thank you. Any plans for this weekend, Big Flo Show?
Tomorrow, I'm going to go pay respect to LaShane Sadler's wife that passed away, Kelly Sadler. I want to give her a shout out. She's got a celebration of life in South Bend.
Let's do a moment of silence for her.
Moment of silence. Great woman. Those of you who know Shane Sadler was a safety a year ahead of me. We lived together in South Bend. Kelly Sadler's from the South Bend area. I had 2 beautiful children. His daughter opened up last. I'm glad to see people move forward. His daughter was a opening act dancing for T-Pain last night at a concert they had, which I thought was pretty awesome to call to see that he was able to out and watch his daughter do what she does. But she was a beautiful lady, man. She was fun. She was like our third roommate. We hung out all the time. We spent many years visiting each other's homes. And unfortunately, she lost the battle to cancer. Was expected, but not expected at the time. But they're doing a celebration of life tomorrow, 2:00 in South Bend. Anyone interested that knows Shane or Kelly will reach out and I'll give you the details. But that'll be the gist of kind of what I do tomorrow. Tonight,
Let's go ahead and let's officially take a moment of silence for a
Kelly's
beautiful
family.
soul that was lost, but also for the family that is left to grieve. Man, that's tough to lose a mom that early. Still young enough where they had a lot more years to enjoy, and for Shane to lose his better half, his wife. So moment of silence for not only a beautiful soul, but the people who have survived her, who have to deal with the grief of having lost. Regardless of what you think about Notre Dame, I know a lot of y'all hate us. The brotherhood is real, man, and to hear your pain because of his pain, you never want to see your brothers in pain, but it made me even more proud to know that we have each other's back. So enjoy your time there as much as possible by being a support system for him and being there, hugging him and loving him, man. That's what this whole thing's about. That is what being grown is about in terms of friendship, brotherhood, being a teammate. What else you got going on before we get out of this weekend? You were saying something. Sorry, I interrupted.
Nothing, little chill tonight. Got some friends leaving town tomorrow. Hang out with them a little bit. Nothing special. I'm gonna watch these Olympics because that's what I do.
The Olympics. Enjoy, baby. USA, USA, USA. Enjoy the Olympics, everybody. I'm going to be coaching these kids. It's such a blessing to be able to do it, man. You talk about growing, watching these young men develop into grown men, right? They're at the right young age of 13, but they know it all, is a blessing. So that's what I'll be doing some this weekend. And other than that, enjoying the Olympics too. Is where sports, business, and entertainment collide, those Olympics. And so they got a lot in common with the Ball Hawk Sports Talk. Because this is where sports, business, and entertainment collide. The Big Flow Show is in the building today. I am your boy, B Brown, ESQ, a.k.a. the Ball Hawk, a.k.a. the Mouth of the South, a.k.a. Mr. Excessive Celebration, a.k.a. Brazy, a.k.a. a man thankful that you continue to support us. Everybody enjoy your weekend. Love the people around you. Tomorrow is never promised, so make the most out of today. And with that, we is out.